Hey guys, welcome back to Phil Plays TCG. Today, we are talking about the good and the bad of the brand new Manga booster set. The set now has officially been released last Friday at the time of recording this video. And yeah, I've had some time to, mull it over. I was able to get some cards, quite a bit of them. And kind of like gauging the community's response to the cards now that we have them, poll rates, boxes, people's opinions on the new decks, on the decks that, are being upgraded. Excuse me. I've decided that I want to share my thoughts because you know what? It's my channel. I can do what I want. And right now, I want to talk about the good and the bad. So if you do like Dragonball Super Fusion World content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like the video if you liked it. If you did not like it, let me know in the comments down below. I'd appreciate any and all support you guys are willing to give. Let's start a conversation. Speaking of conversation, we're gonna start with the good. So there are good and bad things about this set. And as you can see here, I've listed them all, but we'll go through them each bit. Starting off with the good of this set, the artwork. The artwork for this set is fantastic. I love it all. Getting the cards in my hand, in comparison to like what the pictures were shown, like the artwork for these cards is phenomenal. Like it looks so much better in person than it did online. And I really do like it, especially the alt art. Let me say the the super rares, the manga energy markers, the whole thing. It looks super cool. I gotta give him props for this. Then we have the support. The support that we got for some older decks really is awesome. We had decks that just really didn't do so well, like Saiyan Saga Vegeta, now have gotten much better support. You have decks like Fat Buu, which got a good amount of support. Android 18 indirectly got support, but I'll mention the other part in a second. Energy markers look fantastic. The gold and silver foiling of these different energy markers looks absolutely awesome, and it gives more. It's kind of like the One Piece thing with like all the different dons they release. Having a bunch of different energy markers in this set is really cool. It raises their collectability. You get a couple of them per box. It's super cool. And then of course the all foil cards. Like I said, I really did not, believe that we were going to get like the cards were going to look so nice. And this is a common card, and it's all foiled out. And the fact that now you can build a deck with a lot of common and uncommon foil cards, it kind of scratches that itch of a former previous competitive Masters player like myself who loves building a deck that's all foiled out. It's very cool, and I really didn't think the foiling for the rares and uncommons and commons were going to be that different, but it really is. Like they pop, and it's awesome. Those are some of the good points in my personal opinion. Now let's talk about the bad. The increased price. When booster boxes are already anywhere from like $100 to $120, having a special manga set, which don't get me wrong, is super cool, but increasing the price that I've seen $140 to upwards of $180 for a box is insane. I think that's ridiculous. And we all know the problem. I can't swear this early in the video here. The problem with the online client of raising the digital packs up to $6, which is the same as the MSRP for physical packs. On top of the fact that you can't use your existing gems to buy them, you have to get real. You have to use real money to buy the special tickets to buy the manga booster set. We still don't know if we're going to be able to even use our the crafting system, the wild cards. God forbid if we cannot use the wild cards that we have so many of, because there's so many different leader wild cards that people just don't ever get to use because you can't craft them to make alternate art leaders. Commons, uncommons, rares. Sure, super rares are pretty hard to come by, and don't even get me started on secret rares. But the fact that all of the if you can't use your wild cards, then Bandai is even worse than I thought. So we don't know yet until the actual update. There's been no word as far as I can tell. So we'll have to wait. But the increased prices, I think personally, are a bit much. Next, too many reprints. Personally, I think there are way too many reprints in this set, and I understand why they wanted to reprint cards, because there are like certain cards, like for example, Artificial Full Moon, which is a card from set 4. It's specifically there to, you know, go with the whole theme of green being a buff to one of the decks it's buffing is Green Vegeta. Now, I understand why. You know, if they're buffing him, they're going to want to reprint some of the cards with some of the manga artwork, so it's all like cohesive. But as I opened about 30 packs of this set, I got way more reprints than new cards. And it does kind of suck when I don't necessarily need these reprints. I have the older cards that I can use. Sure, they look cooler, but I don't really need the reprints. But the fact that it just seems like most of this set, or at least most of the packs I got in the 30 cards, most of the cards I got in the 30 packs happen to be reprints. Like I got like almost two play sets of a bunch of different older cards, when I really would have liked to get a play set of like every single brand new card. And there are some opposites. There are some that I did get more of the new cards for certain colors than I did reprints. But it just seems like I hate spending money on things I already have. And I feel like if they were going to make the reprints like special, they could have just made them less, you know, less common in these new packs than the newer cards, because we want the newer cards because they're new decks, new archetypes, new support. We like that. And finally, support for decks that did not need them. So personally, the biggest two I think are Kid Goku, World Tournament Kid Goku, and by extension, Super Buu. Buu tanks. These, like, the Kid Goku just came out in set 6. That set 6 has been out for maybe a month, and we already got support support for a deck. And I'm not just talking about a couple cards. Like, we got a bunch of cards specifically for that deck and that archetype, and a bunch of reprints for that. Most of the color blue is support for that leader, or reprints of cards that just came out in the brand new set 6 set. There's also reprints. I'm holding a bunch of them right here. There's reprints for cards like Halo Q, which, from what a lot of people are saying, are tired of seeing, myself included. So the fact that we got a bunch of support for a leader that just came out makes me feel like, one, this support should have just been in the normal set, or at least we should have been less of it so we could put support for other blue decks that needed it. Or we have reprints of cards that, like, for a deck that people are really tired of seeing and we're hoping would get hit. But obviously the deck can't get hit all that much, because then the bunch of reprints that they put out would be useless. And I know that they plan these printings and these cards like months and months in advance, which is kind of a detriment to it, because if there's a problem card and people address it, they can't go back and be like, oh, pull this card off of the print line. It's too late, you know. Majin Buu is another deck that just did not need the support, and I know what they were trying to do here. They introduced a new Kid Buu archetype, and they introduced support for Fat Buu. But unfortunately, having yellow cards that just say if your leader is Majin affects Super Buu as well. So because of that, basically, any support for Fat Buu or Kid Buu is going to indirectly support Super Buu. And that deck being another deck that people are really tired of seeing, it doesn't really help. And it just makes me feel like, wow, the deck that is a problem, they're still not addressing. In fact, they're making it better. It's weird. We'll go over some of the archetypes and some of the support, like the decks that didn't need it and the decks, in my opinion, that do need it. So some of the decks that got support, obviously, like I mentioned, Kid Goku just came out in set 6. It was a pretty good deck, but unfortunately, in comparison to Halo Q, why play this deck when you could play Halo Q? Now that Pilaf has been banned, Haloku got a slight nerf, but I still believe Haloku is still the best blue deck in the format. Most consistent blue deck in the format. But with all the new support that Goku got, sure, I believe that the deck is very, very good and has an opportunity to impact the meta. But the fact of the matter is, we just got this leader and just got this deck, and not even a month later, we have support, like a bunch of great support for it. And I just feel like, am I mad about it? No, not really. But at the same time, I'm annoyed that like you could have put this towards something else, like decks that really did need it. I'm still gonna play it because it's blue, and now that for the most part, most blue decks are nerfed, except for like a few, like this Haloku, Kid-Ku, Mini Vegeta still up there, but blue's just gonna have to change up its playstyle. But that's blue. Green Vegeta, honestly, is a really interesting deck and a very solid deck, but it's just, once again, it suffers from the problem of why play this instead of green androids or green Broly. Now with the new set in this archetype, sorry, the new archetype, new support in this set for this archetype, it actually is looking really good. So I'm excited to see how this could impact the meta going forward. It looks really cool. I know Corrosive Bullet's been on it. I'm very excited to see what he cooks up with this. And then another leader that got indirect support is Android 18. Specifically, she got pseudo support based off of the new red leader in this set, which is Cell. And of course, a lot of his cards are red androids, which will, of course, impact her. She is going to be able to use those cards. Maybe not the best, especially, since a lot of these cards I feel like had Cell in mind, but it is still cool to see this red leader who was really not great out of the gate get some support that she can use and hopefully bring her up to a better, competitive level. Don't know how much that's going to impact her, but we'll just have to see the results. And of course, more cards that got indirect support or direct support. Fat Buu. Fat Buu is looking real good right now. He's got a lot of cards that specifically were for his archetype and his playstyle. A lot of 2-cost cards, Wicked Soul cards, it looks cool. Plus, he does have access to all of the brand new Majin support that is usable in Kid Buu. So you can kind of decide which version you want to play, Fat Buu or Kid Buu. Not just that, like I mentioned earlier, Super Buu got more support as well. Sure, he lost being able to play the 3-drop Bobbity at 4. He still has access to at least one of them, but now he's got more room in the deck to put some of the brand new Majin cards, including the new 4-cost Super Rare that is absolutely going to wreck Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta's face, or any defensive decks. So this is the meta of Buu. You got Fat Buu, Super Buu, and Kid Buu all viable decks. It's just what type of playstyle you want to go with, and that's super cool. It's crazy. Printing a card that isn't leader locked specifically to a particular Majin probably was not the best idea, but it does give everybody who likes playing Majin Buu, whatever version that is, the flexibility to kind of, you have a much bigger card pool now. I specifically don't think it needed to be as big as it was. Maybe we could have just been more specifically leader locking cards, but Bandai did it. Oh, excuse me. Oh God. Finally, a leader that I feel like got some decent support is Piccolo. Another leader that really was underbaked when it first released in set 3, but from the last couple sets, and now including this manga set, it has gotten a lot of really good support that has brought it up to being a particular rogue deck, in my opinion. You have cards like, I'm looking at the green stuff in front of me right now. You have cards like Strongest Team Up, which is, if this, it only works if your leader is specifically Piccolo. Let's see, at the top card of your deck, your energy in rest mode, so it ramps a card, and then you get to play 1 Goku and up to 1 Piccolo with both of the cost of 6 from your hand. So you get 12k worth of cards, 12 cost worth of cards from only paying 6 energy, and you ramp 1. That's insane. So this leader could actually do some really neat things, but I don't know if I'd call it anything higher than a rogue deck. We will just have to see how the competitive scene shakes out. But those are the 6 leaders that got direct support or indirect support with this set. It also got, well, we got 3 brand new decks. We have yellow Kid Buu, black Bulma, and red Cell. All of these are very interesting. Like I mentioned before, this is the meta of Buu. You can have, there's 3 different Buu leaders to use. There's a bunch of cards that work with all 3 leaders. This Buu in particular does seem to be more of a board control deck or more of a stall type deck, being able to rest something on your opponent's board. Freeze something on your opponent's board once per turn, as long as you have a battle card that costs a 4 or more in play, which I feel like is pretty easy to do with this. So this being a very control-heavy deck, seemingly from the get-go, I'm hyped to see what it can do. And of course, Black Bulma, we have our 2nd female leader. This one is very odd though, because it cannot attack, which usually with leaders that cannot attack, I'm thinking mainly from like One Piece, they have to have a pretty good ability to make up for it. Bulma's ability being able to activate battle. During your turn, you may switch this card to rest mode. If you only have cards with adventure and their special traits in your battle area, switch your battle card that's in a battle to active mode, and then use it to 1 battle card from your drop in a combo. So typically this deck is going to be entirely based off of the new cards in this set. Maybe a couple cards from, like a couple splash cards from older sets, but you really can't use her ability if you don't have exclusively adventure cards in your battle area, so it may not be the best choice. I can imagine still throwing the Chi-Chis in there though. I can't remember if Chi-Chi has adventure in the tag. Can't remember that honestly. But this deck is seemingly very interesting. A lot of people are kind of iffy on it though. Some people say it's absolutely amazing. Some people say it's trash. So we'll have to wait until it makes a splash on the meta. And finally, red Cell. When attacking, if a battle card with Android and special traits is removed from the battle area by a skill during this turn, draw 1 card, and this card gets 20k power for the battle. Huge swings similar to Vegito, but I don't like the situational draw. Similar to Bulma, if you don't have a way to draw like on your leader swing, or just draw, can have a consistent draw during your turn, you can fall behind. Cell looks very interesting, and it's got some really cool play lines, being able to play big body Cell very quickly. It's got the support from this set. It's got the support from set 6 with a lot of the red Android cards, and there are scattered red Android cards throughout the game, but this is still going to be a very interesting deck. I still think overall though, Kid Buu is the best leader that we've gotten out of this set. But it might be too early to tell. Who knows? There might be a surprise deck that just pops out from one of these 2 that isn't Kid Buu. Personally, I think there were archetypes that needed support that didn't get it. And I'm going to show you the 6 decks that I think could have used it. King Piccolo. It's a set 6 leader that could have used maybe like 2 cards to really help it, shine. It needed the mini Vegeta treatment. It needed just, 2 cards that really could have helped, impact the deck and help it get to that meta level. Right now, like, there's really no reason to play this. There is no reason to play this, even with a lot of the cards that got reprints in black. Like, there's a bunch of King Piccolo cards that got reprints in this set, but there's no new support. Like, everything that I've read, like, everything is just old support. It's just reprints of older cards. All the black stuff in here is, like, all the new stuff is for Bulma. There's no brand new support for this leader, but for some reason they gave him a bunch of reprint cards. Makes no sense in my opinion. Next one, Gohan. Good lord, Gohan is now taken Mini Vegeta's place as the worst blue leader to play, in my opinion. His ability is just really bad. It's like they used him during the time that they were trying to switch up Blue's identity from being a 7 cards or less in hand requirement to being a self-mill deck. And I feel like their experimentation did not work well. And Gohan being one of this Gohan in particular being one of the coolest characters in the show, it's really, really unfortunate that he is just not very good. This deck, instead of, I feel like, focusing so much on World Tournament Kidku, could have put some Ultimate Gohan support. Take out a couple cards or from the World Tournament stuff and give it to Gohan. Give him like 2 cards that would have helped him out. But nope, we did not get that. So unfortunately, until we do, Gohan is just the worst blue leader. Next, we have Ginyu. Ginyu has been like this weird, like rogue pick, like rogue high rolly deck ever since set 1, but he has recently fallen off just because there really hasn't been any like new 2-cost Ginyu Force cards that he can really take advantage of, or like low to the ground Ginyu Force, or if any Ginyu Force cards. So this deck just kind of went from being a really decent high roll deck, like really good high roll deck, to being pretty much like you're high rolling and you gotta hope you see literally everything you need in order to make an impact. But with the fact that board clearing is so easy now, it's just, he is kind of fallen off into obscurity. Now, there are some diehard fans that are going to say he's still good, but I really think he could have used at least 1 card. Instead of all the Majin support we got, this could have been something where we give him a little bit of a bump. And who knows, Ginyu could have been another yellow deck that just isn't Majin. Finally, we have these 3 leaders. Same thing, with just yellow being pretty much the color of Buu. We have Cooler, which, don't get me wrong, was really cool in set 1. Got a couple cards between set 1 and set 6 that kept him relevant. But he just is not good. Like, he suffers from a lot of the, critical leaders. Cool idea, but they've since then there's not been a critical leader since set 1, in my opinion, if I remember correctly. So they gave up on that idea. But then, where has that left Cooler? Like, they've released a lot of Frieza Clan stuff, which is generic enough that you could run it in Cooler, but specifically Cooler needs something different. Cooler's ability is not as generic as, Yellow Frieza, which a lot of the Frieza Clan stuff works just way better in that deck. There has been like Meta Cooler stuff, which they, were doing a Meta Cooler theme for a little while, but nothing that really just like took Cooler out of obscurity, brought him back to sort of meta relevance. I know there was like one set, I can't remember, it was like set 3 or 4 that, people were like, oh, Cooler's back, baby, and he wasn't. I really do think all these leaders, these 6 leaders here, really needed the mini Vegeta support that he got in order to make them relevant again. Because I think Cooler is super cool. I love the artwork on him. I really wanted to see him shine a bit more. Not just because I have an alternate leader of him, of course. Next, we have Broly. Broly, you know what? Why play this when you could just play the new Broly? That is a really big thing. Why play any other green deck besides green Broly or green androids? This particular Broly was a menace in set 1 and got some slight indirect support, I want to say, in like set 4 or 5. No, sorry, I think it was 5 or 6. But overall, he just got power crept. And I feel like it would have been cool to see some like Dragon Ball Z Broly support, which I understand this is a manga set. He wasn't in the manga. They can't put him. Same with Cooler, I guess. I get it. But like getting some type of support for older leaders, and yeah, maybe this is not the video to talk about Cooler and Broly since they weren't technically in the manga. But you know what? Like these decks need support. They really do. And I think we're going to wrap it up here with a character that was in the manga. I know people are going to say he's not in the Dragon Ball manga, he's in the Dragon Ball Super manga, but still, you know what? He's in the manga. There could have been some really cool manga panels. Goku Black. Goku Black really hasn't gotten any support since set 3. Maybe set 4. Maybe he did get some support in like set 4 or 5, but like it was 1 card. And this deck didn't really rely on Pilaf being able to do anything. But yeah, like it's a really, really fun blue deck that has one thing in mind, which is, get your big Goku Blacks out quicker. And I think the thing that it really needs is more Goku Black targets that are bigger, not just the 6-drop. We need like a good 5-drop Goku Black that we can try to play if we can't get our 6-drop out early. Cards like that I feel like would really help elevate this deck to a more competitive level, make it a top tier rogue deck for certain situations. But I don't know. I just think these leaders really could have used the buff there. But overall, with this set here, excuse me, the Manga Booster as a whole has a lot of really good things going for it. But unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the good things about it, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and I feel like they almost equal out. You know, the Manga Booster being super expensive when in a time where everything else is really getting really expensive is not a great idea. I really wish if we could have maybe not make every card foil. Maybe that would have saved on some money. Maybe not having so many reprint cards would have saved a little bit of money. Blocking an entire archetype behind Bulma, like it's only in this brand new set, maybe not the best idea. Some of the leaders that got support, I feel like didn't need it, while some leaders desperately needed it and got some. I don't know. This set, I feel like, and then on top of the manga, the clients with the increased prices, I really like this set. And I know we're getting another manga set later down the line, I think in December. I really hope that the next manga set will focus on decks that really do need the boost and not decks that are just popular. Overall, if I were to give a letter grade to the Manga Booster, I'd probably get a 7 out of 10. It's a good set filled with a lot of problems. But I still feel like the collectability, the hype for this set is worth the purchase. But for the love of God, please do not buy digital packs for this set. Use code cards. Find physical packs. You're going to be spending the same amount of money regardless. But you're going to be getting physical cards that you can possibly even sell too. Like I just sold an energy marker today for $50. I got these really cool fancy alt art cards that I'm also looking to sell. I can make back some of my money. But if you buy digital packs, you can't resell any of that. You're just out of that money. It's just me and my personal opinions aside. Let me know what you think about the manga set down below. Tell me the good and the bad. Tell me what you disagree with me about or agree with me on. I love to, have a conversation with you guys. And until the next video, take care.